If you have ever wondered what it feels like to be truly alone on an alien planet, this game doesn't just show you, it forces you to survive it. It is the ultimate underwater crash landing that turns a simple survival game into a terrifying yet beautiful journey into the deep. Most adventure games let you conquer the land, but Subnautica drops you into an ocean that feels endless and alive. The sense of discovery here is unmatched because every meter you dive deeper changes the entire world around you. You start in the safe, sunny shallows, looking at colorful fish and coral. It feels like a vacation, but the adventure truly begins when you build your first submarine and watch the sunlight fade away as you descend into the pitch black. The exploration is driven by pure curiosity and a little bit of panic. You see a strange glowing cave in the distance, and you just have to know what is inside. You travel through kelp forests, mushroom caves, and volcanic trenches. The game doesn't give you a map filled with waypoints. You have to learn the world. You have to recognize the landmarks. The journey is about pushing your luck, going just a little bit deeper than you should, hoping your oxygen holds out long enough to find that next secret. It captures that feeling of being a true explorer, invading a world that does not want you there. But just when you think you have mastered the ocean, you hear a roar in the distance that freezes your blood, reminding you that you are not the hunter on this journey. You are the prey.
Some gamers call this a walking simulator, like it was an insult, but they completely miss the point. This is the most intense hiking adventure ever made. This game strips away the combat and the noise to focus entirely on the struggle of moving from point A to point B. In Death Stranding, the ground itself is your enemy. The adventure isn't about finding a treasure, it is about looking at a massive, snow-covered mountain and figuring out how the hell you are going to get over it without losing your cargo. You have to scan the terrain, place ladders over rushing rivers, and use ropes to rappel down cliffs. It makes you respect the journey in a way no other game does. You feel every step. You feel the weight on your back. When you stumble and almost fall, your heart actually skips a beat. The world is hauntingly beautiful. It's empty, rainy, and silent, which makes the sense of travel incredibly immersive. You aren't just pressing forward on a joystick. You are balancing your weight, watching your stamina, and planning your route. When the music swells up as you crest a hill and see your destination in the distance, the feeling of relief and accomplishment is genuine. It captures the essence of a long, hard journey, where the reward isn't a cutscene, but simply surviving the trip. However, the silence of this world is deceptive, because as the rain starts to fall, the ground begins to shift, and you realize you are walking right into a nightmare you cannot see. This is the blockbuster movie of adventure games, giving you that globe-trotting rush that makes you feel like modern-day Indiana Jones. From the very first moment, it grabs you by the collar and drags you across the world on a hunt for lost pirate gold. The pacing of the journey in Uncharted 4 is absolute perfection. One minute you are scuba diving in a river, the next you are driving a jeep through the muddy plains of Madagascar, and then you are swinging from a rope off the side of a massive cliff in Scotland. The game nails the feeling of a grand adventure. Every location is stunningly detailed, making you want to stop and just look at the view, but the story keeps pushing you forward. It explores the obsession of the adventurer. You feel the pull of the mystery, deciphering old maps and climbing crumbling ruins that haven't been touched in centuries. The climbing and traversal animations are so smooth that you feel connected to the environment. You aren't just walking, you are sliding, jumping, and hanging on by your fingertips. It sells the fantasy of being a treasure hunter completely. The sense of travel is huge. You feel like you have genuinely covered thousands of miles by the time the credits roll. But the greatest treasure hunts always come with a heavy price, and as you get closer to the gold, you start to realize that this obsession might cost you the only thing that actually matters. This game defines adventure not by what it adds, but by what it takes away, leaving you with a lonely, majestic journey that will stick with you forever. There are no towns, no NPCs to give you quests, and no enemies to grind, just you, your horse, and a forbidden land. The focus here is entirely on the scale of your travel. You ride your horse aggro across massive, desolate plains, through rainy canyons and over ancient stone bridges. The world feels ancient and indifferent to your presence. The silence is heavy, broken only by the sound of hoofbeats and the wind. It creates a mood of solemn determination. You are traveling to the ends of the earth to save someone you love, and you feel the weight of that solitary mission. Then the discovery happens. You find what you are looking for, a colossus. These aren't just bosses, they are living, moving landscapes. The adventure shifts from riding across the land to climbing a living mountain. Scaling these giants is a journey in itself, holding on to their fur as they shake and try to throw you off. The contrast between the quiet, empty world and the violent, epic encounters creates a rhythm that is hypnotic. It is pure, unfiltered exploration of a dead world. Yet, with every giant you slay, your character looks a little worse. The sky gets a little darker, and you begin to wonder if you are the hero of this journey or the villain. While many RPGs give you a map, this game gives you a living, breathing world, where simply riding your horse down a dirt path feels like a story waiting to happen. It is the gold standard for open-world adventure because it makes the act of traveling feel unpredictable and dangerous. You play as a monster hunter, a drifter, and the game leans into that wandering lifestyle perfectly. You might be heading to a major city to advance the plot, but then you see a smoke signal in the woods. You ride over and find an ancient ruin, or a village plagued by a ghost, or just a beautiful sunset over a war-torn battlefield. The sense of discovery is organic. You aren't just clearing icons off a map, you are stumbling into adventures. The environments are incredibly varied, from the swamps of Velen to the snowy peaks of Skellige. The wind howls through the trees, storms roll in and bend the branches, and the sunrises are blindingly real. It makes you want to explore just to see what is over the next hill. You feel like a traveler in a land that has its own history and problems, and you are just passing through, leaving your mark. The sheer scale of the journey is massive, taking you dozens of hours just to see the corners of the map. But no matter how far you ride or how many monsters you kill, you can never quite outrun the feeling that something ancient and cold is hunting you from across the dimensions. This game proves you don't need words or dialogue to create the most emotional adventure of your life. It is a short experience, maybe 2 hours long, but it captures the pure essence of a pilgrimage better than games 10 times its size. You wake up alone in a vast, shimmering desert with a single goal: reach the mountain with the light on top. That is it. That is the whole game. But the journey to get there is magical. You surf down massive sand dunes, gliding effortlessly over the ruins of a lost civilization. The movement feels more like flying than walking. The sense of travel is conveyed through the changing landscape, from the golden sands to the dark, scary underground, and finally to the freezing, snowy slopes of the mountain. The discovery comes from the atmosphere. You find murals that hint at what happened to this world, but the real surprise is when you meet another player. You can't speak to them, only chirp a musical note. You travel together, helping each other simply by being there. It turns a lonely trek into a shared bond. You struggle against the wind together, hide from monsters together, and walk into the light together. It is art in motion, focusing entirely on the emotional arc of a difficult journey. As you collapse in the snow inches from your goal, the screen fades to white, leaving you to wonder if the end of the journey is actually just a new beginning. This game brought back the true magic of adventure by refusing to hold your hand and daring you to get lost in a world that is as terrifying as it is beautiful. There are no quest markers pointing the way, no checklist of chores, just a massive map and your own burning curiosity. The sense of discovery in Elden Ring is unparalleled. You see a weird castle in the distance? You can go there. You see a giant tree? You can climb it. But the real magic is that you never know what you will find. You might ride your spectral steed into a random cave, thinking it's a small side area, and suddenly find an elevator that takes you down to an entire underground city that isn't even on the map. the scale is mind-blowing. The journey feels dangerous. The world is hostile, filled with dragons, knights, and horrors that want you dead. This makes every discovery feel earned. When you find a safe checkpoint or a beautiful vista, it's a moment of relief. The art direction paints a world of fallen glory, golden leaves, and rotting swamps that beg to be explored. You are constantly asking, what is over there? And the answer is almost always something that will kill you or blow your mind. But as you stand before the glowing Erd tree, having conquered demigods and traversed the stars, you realize that becoming the lord of this broken world might be a curse disguised as a victory. If you want to know what it felt like to live as an outlaw on the run in 1899, this game is a time machine. It is the most immersive, detailed adventure ever created, where the journey isn't just about moving across the map, it's about existing in the world. The pace here is deliberate. It forces you to slow down. You don't just fast travel everywhere. You ride your horse across miles of changing terrain. You have to set up camp, brew your coffee, clean your guns, and feed your horse. These details might sound like chores, but they ground you in the adventure. You feel the mud on your boots and the cold of the mountain air. The world feels completely alive, with weather systems that roll in naturally and wildlife that interacts with each other. Exploration is rewarding because the world is full of secrets that aren't marked. You might find a serial killer's hideout in a basement, a ghost train, or a strange man claiming to be a time traveler. The map takes you from snowy mountains to humid swamps and bustling industrial cities. It is a journey across a dying frontier. The bond you form with your horse and your gang makes the travel feel personal. You aren't just looking for loot, you are looking for a place to call home. But as the world modernizes around you and the law closes in, the open road begins to run out, leading you to a final destination that no amount of running can escape. This is the cleverest adventure game ever made, period. It is a space exploration game where your only upgrade is knowledge. You start on a tiny planet with a wooden spaceship and a jetpack, and the entire solar system is yours to explore from minute one. The catch? The sun explodes every 22 minutes, resetting the loop. Your journey is to figure out why. The sense of discovery here is unlike anything else. You aren't unlocking double jumps. You are learning how gravity works on a specific planet, or how to navigate a planet made entirely of water and tornadoes. You translate ancient alien text that gives you clues to check out a different planet. It is a giant cosmic detective story. The travel is thrilling and terrifying. Space feels dangerous. You have to manually fly your ship, land on crumbling comets, and navigate through a planet that is literally falling apart beneath your feet. The aha moments are constant. When you finally piece together the clues and figure out how to reach the center of the mystery, it feels like a stroke of genius. It captures the romantic, scientific spirit of adventure, exploring for the sake of understanding the universe. However, as you finally reach the eye of the universe and understand the truth of your loop, you have to accept that satisfying your curiosity means letting go of everything you have ever known. This is the game that broke all the rules and redefined what an adventure could be. It looked at the walls that other games put up and said, climb them. It gave us the ultimate sense of freedom, where if you can see it, you can go there. The genius of this adventure is in the physics and the chemistry of the world. You aren't just walking through a backdrop, you are interacting with it. You need to wear warm clothes in the snow or you will freeze. If it rains, you can't climb cliffs because you will slip. If there's a thunderstorm, you better unequip your metal sword or you will get struck by lightning. This makes the journey feel tactile and real. The glider changes everything. Climbing to the highest peak you can find, looking out over the vast kingdom of Hyrule, and just jumping off to soar towards a distant tower is the greatest feeling of travel in gaming history. Every direction is the right direction. You find shrines, hidden puzzles, and dragons flying through canyons. The game trusts you. It drops you into a massive world and says, go have an adventure. It captures the childhood wonder of exploring the woods behind your house, but on a grand, magical scale. But as you stand at the gates of Hyrule Castle, ready to face the calamity that destroyed this world 100 years ago,
you realize that the real adventure wasn't about saving the princess. It was about remembering who you were before you lost it all.